to Legacy Lattes. This is episode 2, and we are so happy to have you back. And I have a very special guest with me today. And the reason why I have these guests on my show is to have them tell their stories. But it's not just because I want to hear them, it's because I want to get them made. And we can only get them made with your support. So today I have Kunal on the show, who is a business coach, and I am so excited to hear his story. Kunal, what's going on, my man?
What's up, Lefty? Glad to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. So, when I talk to entrepreneurs, it's really interesting how they give me so many different answers, and people come from different walks of life, people come from different origins, different ethnic backgrounds, just different everything. You can ask the same question and get 100 different answers. So I always love to start my questions with, who were you at the beginning of your journey, and what was the situation like for you at the time?
I mean, that's a great question. I honestly, I'm gonna give you a quick Coles notes about who I am and kind of where I came from. I was born in 1979. I think I'm like Gen X, right? Gen X,
I think so.
and Gen X are Zennials. We're, I think, known as Zennials because we're in the mix of like Gen X and like Millennial, right? Because I grew up in the 80s. So
Right.
I was born in India. About 4.5 years later, my brother was born. Then we moved to England. I lived in England for 2 years for my dad's work, and then we lived in the U.S. for a bit, and then we moved to Canada just before my ninth birthday. And that was as much as I've traveled all my life, and I've you know I understand what it's like to kind of get used to be being in a new place as a kid.
Mhm.
I did face quite a lot of adversity in the beginning, from racism to, like, I didn't know what was going on. I remember we had nobody. It was just my parents, my brother, and I, and 6 bags. We arrived at the airport at Pearson Airport on like in the middle of May in 1988. It was crazy. It was crazy, and
At least it was
we
warm,
had,
right?
yeah. I mean, we were wearing winter jackets, but yeah, it was warm. It was warm. We had with one family friend who was like a distant family friend who said he was gonna like set us up, and you know, coming from a middle class, well-to-do family, and he puts us in like this hooker hotel, basically.
Wow.
Okay,
Okay.
on Sherbourne Street, right downtown. This is before the whole area was rejuvenated. Like I remember we were in this apartment, this furnished apartment, for about 3 months. My mom's a doctor. She was kind of requalifying herself, and my
Mhm.
dad was interviewing, and he's coming from a management role. Both my parents are highly educated, doctor, chemical engineer, and then they were also having to face all of this stuff, plus trying to raise 2 little boys.
Yeah,
Um,
wow.
but I remember there were nights, bro, like where I would hear gunshots, I would hear people banging on the door, I would hear women screaming, I would hear some like not so nice things in the hallway, and that was really scary, I think, for myself and for my family as a whole.
Sure.
Um, but in school, I remember, for a few months, I was in this school while my parents were kind of getting situated, and I remember this one kid called me a name that I didn't even know what it was. He called me a packy, right? And I
Oh,
remember
wow.
coming home and asking my mom, like, "What's a packy?" And my mom's explaining, "Oh, it's someone from Pakistan, right?" And I'm thinking, how is that a bad word? Right? I'm not from
Okay.
Pakistan. I'm from India. I'm from India. And I never even realized that that was a derogatory term that was used against South Asians a lot. I
Mhm.
mean, not so much anymore, but we then left there and moved to Etobicoke to a much nicer area. And then, kind of fast forward to, and I'm going through, I've always been very driven and motivated in my life. I've always been focused on what's next, and the values that have been instilled in me by my parents is, work hard, and whatever you're doing, they just because my mom was a doctor, my dad's an engineer, it was never about, oh, you have to do this. It was,
Right.
find your path, do what makes you happy. the main difference is, my brother now is a surgeon. My mom's a retired doctor. My dad's retired also, but they are very much from the kind of 9 to 5 ish world, right? They don't
Mhm.
understand entrepreneurism, right? They don't understand that.
Yeah,
And it's just really entrepreneurship is a mindset. It's not a business owner, right? It's very different. It's about the mindset, and I'm sure you know that too. It's about you know going after your goals, going after your dreams. And I always knew that there was something bigger for me. I always knew I had a purpose, even when I was young. And I remember, you know, and I think yeah, that was really the beginning point of the Kunal that is here now.
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you jumped through quite a few hurdles to kind of get to where you are. And I mean, it's great that you are here today and you're doing incredible things. You said my two favorite words, fast forward. And if we are going to continue to fast forward, where was that moment in time that you knew that things needed to change, that you were going to dive into that entrepreneur, I guess, walk of life and journey?
I mean, I love this question because it's so me.
Mhm.
I've always been an entrepreneur, even when I was young. From a paper route, right? Lots of people have paper routes. I
Yeah.
remember my paper route was crazy. I remember one night it was like freaking raining, and I'm delivering the paper, and I get attacked by like a neighbor's dog, and I'm like
No.
fighting this dog off with my freaking newspaper. It was crazy. It's crazy, right? And it's like
Yeah.
you go through all of these things, but as a kid, when you go through those things, it's really about lessons, right? About how to it's not about failure. It's not like, okay, no, a lot of people could have been like, oh my God, I got attacked by a dog. That's it. I'm done.
Right.
Right. For me, it was more about, and this is a lesson I kind of carry forward into my adult life is that, when you're faced with challenges, a failure is just a challenge. It's just an obstacle that you need to figure out how to get by and get past. And so my journey as an entrepreneur has kind of been instilled in me not by anybody except for myself. You know,
Yeah.
from in university having I ran a student works painting franchise.
Okay.
I did like house painting and like I did all kinds of things in 21. And I remember, I think it wasn't just me. Lots of people have been pulled into this scam, right? Cutco, Cutco.
I heard of it. Yeah.
Cutco is like knives and scissors and all these really
Do-
really high quality products, but the business model is very much a pyramid scheme, right?
Okay.
But to me, I've always looked at opportunities as learning experiences. How
Hmm.
do I get to my next level? Right? It's about learning. Sure, that didn't work out. I didn't become a Cutco millionaire, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Because when they first tell you, oh, you can make so much money as a kid, when you're in like 19, 20 years old, you're thinking, I'm gonna go sell this to like my whole family,
Yeah.
right? Of course, I'm gonna be a Cutco millionaire. And then after you start, then they start like really telling you all the restrictions of what you can and can't do,
Yep.
right? And who you can sell it to and who you can't sell it to. And I think from a young age, I just realized that I don't like people telling me what to do. Uh, I want to create my own wealth and my own success. And when I say wealth, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about achieving my goals and aspirations. And you know, uh, so that kind of grew. Again, fast forward, I'm going to my 20s. I get to my 30s. I'm running my own consulting firm, and things are going well. And it's just something that has kind of always propelled me forward about the importance of me and my purpose in this world, about just
Mhm.
really doing bigger things. So and I think that's really my entrepreneurship, and my attitude is very intertwined with my goals in life as well.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you've definitely done a lot, and I'm sure there's way more to this story than what we're kind of sharing right now. Um, my paper route was definitely not as exciting as yours sounded. Mine was pretty straightforward, easy peasy.
Yeah.
but but I mean, hey, look, I mean, it's not an adventure unless you get attacked by a neighbor's dog, right? I mean, that
Oh,
we all hope to have that story, and you got it, which is unfortunate, but a good party trick, right?
yeah.
um you know, you mentioned one thing when, you know, when you were filling out the form to come onto the show, and you said a really great word, and you used empowerment. You used empowering when you were talking about, you know, producing your own documentary or your own film, and that's why we are speaking today, is to create this community driven narrative to allow people watching to go and hit that super thanks button below in order to donate to want to hear the rest of this story and the whole story in general. But what does that word empowering mean to you? And if we were to get this film done for you, how do you plan on using it to empower others?
This is another great question. Great. I love these questions, bro. Okay. So I have, outside of my career, being an entrepreneur, everything I do is very purpose driven.
Hmm.
So I've been running mentorship programs in the community for 20 plus years, working with various nonprofits and really being able to help young entrepreneurs back in the day who are now successful entrepreneurs. They have their own businesses, clothing lines, marketing firms, whatever, artists, they're music artists, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, and I find that, you know, my part of my journey is also, I was a big brother. If you know about the Big Brother program, and the Big Brothers of
Yeah.
Canada, where you basically are a mentor, right? I was a big brother for 10 years, and now my little brother, right, who is now a big brother, and he's also like Canadian Special Forces in the army, and like, so he's paying it forward, and he's got his kid, and we're very close, and he tells me how much of an impact I made in his life as a father and as an adult as well, and I find that that's a lot of empowerment. But a big one for me was, now we spoke about this also, is that, when I was about 30 years old, I had major life-saving surgery,
Right.
and where basically 2 feet of my lower intestines were cut out. And without getting into too much gory details, it was something that, at first I thought Pepto Bismol could fix it because Pepto fixes everything, right?
Yep.
So you know the song, nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. Oh,
Yeah.
Pepto Bismol, right? So
Yeah.
so how can you forget the song? So obviously, I mean, I remember I got this crazy pain in my stomach. I down a bottle of Pepto. I pass out. I wake up, pain's gone. I'm thinking Pepto worked. 2 weeks later, pain comes back. Pepto's not working. Right? I can't keep anything in water, nothing. And I remember I'm in the hospital now, pretty much all day. And we fast forward to the end of the day after I've had several MRIs and ultrasounds and all of these things, where my family, my wife at that time, my parents are on the other side of these doors, and I remember I'm getting wheeled out from it was an MRI or some test, I don't remember. I'm kind of
Mhm.
going in and out of consciousness, and the head of surgery at Toronto General runs up and he says, "We need to get you into surgery in the next 2 hours, or you're not going to make it."
Oh
Right.
no.
And so to hear that is really tough. Right. And he even said that the surgery itself also was only a 50% success rate because they really didn't know what it was. All they knew was that there was a black shadow and a mass that was forming inside my stomach. And so they had no idea what it was.
Okay.
Right. And that I had
Wow.
to basically, he told me that I should say like my goodbyes to my family because they didn't know what it was, and the surgery itself was exploratory. They didn't even know what was going to come off it, and the success rate was only 50%. So can you
Yeah.
imagine, I'm on this stretcher, and my mom being a doctor, so sure, but when it's your own kid, it's a different ball game, right? You kind of
Yes.
freeze up, and having to tell my parents, like I didn't really know what to say, and I remember going then saying, I guess my goodbyes to my wife at then and my parents, and I'm sitting in the OR lying on the bed, and the nurse or anesthesiologist has the gas mask on top of my face, and she tells me to start counting down from 10. And I'm thinking 10, 9, 8, 7. I kind of stopped counting. I mean, I don't remember after 4,
Sure.
but I was thinking, oh my God, this is it for me. This is it for me. Like, Kunal, okay, you know what? You've had a good life. You've done good things. You have been purposeful. You have been a good role model. Everything that would, the things that really kind of propelled me to be me. And
Yeah.
then, I go under and I'm thinking, this is it. This is it. Right. And I remember I wake up, it's like 4:30 a.m. Right. And it's like the movies, your eyes are closed and then you hear beeps and then you
Yeah.
open your eyes and I'm looking around and I'm like in ICU hooked up to all these machines. And no word of a lie, my thought was, holy shit, bro, you're alive. And that was a real defining moment for me. That changed everything for me.
Wow. 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 And I mean, what a way to leave you also on a cliffhanger, ladies and gentlemen, because if you guys want to know how that story finishes, we got to get it made. We got to get it made. And I don't even know how I would be feeling in that moment. I would be freaking out. I mean, I'm sure you were as well, but holy moly, there is just so much more to unpack and so much more to unravel. And I'm so grateful and thankful uh, that Kunal came on this show and dedicated a bit of his evening to jump on and tell us this. So, guys, it is now your part to jump in there and let's bring this story to life. And with that being said, remember the story that you tell today is a legacy that you'll leave tomorrow. Peace out, guys. Thank you again, Kunal.
Thanks, man.